Welcome to Heartfelt Revenge Stories. My name is Rebecca Hayes and I'm 29 years old. 3 weeks ago, at my own baby shower, my mother-in-law stood in front of 50 guests and handed me an envelope containing 47 reasons why my husband should leave me. Everyone laughed. My husband laughed the hardest. I didn't laugh at all. I opened that envelope, found reason number 23, and read it out loud to the entire room. The color drained from her face so fast, I thought she might faint right there. By the end of that night, every single person in my husband's family had blocked her number, deleted her contacts, cut her off completely. Before I tell you exactly what was written in that envelope and why it destroyed her world in less than 60 seconds, I need you to do something for me. Please subscribe and like this video and listen to my story till the end and let me know which city you're listening from. That way I can see how far my story has traveled. It means everything to me to know I'm not alone in this, and maybe my story will help someone else feel less alone too. Now let me take you back 4 weeks, to the night my mother-in-law, Linda, started planning my complete and total humiliation. It was a Tuesday night around 10 o'clock. I was sprawled on the couch with my swollen feet propped up on a pillow, 7 months pregnant, and every single part of my body ached in ways I didn't know were possible. My husband Daniel was on the phone with his mother again, and I could hear Linda's voice bleeding through the speaker. Sharp, precise, clinical, like she was chairing a corporate board meeting instead of discussing a baby shower. "I've arranged everything," she announced. "The caterer, the decorations, the complete guest list. Just tell Rebecca not to worry herself about a single thing. Tell Rebecca. Not ask Rebecca. Tell her." Daniel glanced over at me with that look, the one that said, "Please don't make this difficult. Mom says she's got it all handled. Can I talk to her?" I asked. He hesitated for just a second too long, then handed me the phone. "Linda, hi. I was actually thinking maybe we could." "Oh, Rebecca." Her voice shifted instantly, dripping with artificial sweetness that made my teeth hurt. "You don't need to stress yourself about anything, dear. Just rest. These types of events require experience. I had an idea for the theme, actually. Something simple." "That's lovely, truly." She cut me off so smoothly it almost sounded polite. "But I think my concept will work better. You've never planned a large event before, have you?" The pause hung in the air between us like smoke. I knew exactly what she meant. What she always meant. "You didn't have a mother to teach you these things." "I'll handle everything," she continued. "A mother knows best, after all." Before I could form a response, she added, "Oh, by the way, I've invited a few of Daniel's old friends, including Vanessa. You remember Vanessa, don't you?" My stomach dropped. Vanessa, Daniel's ex-girlfriend. The one Linda still sent birthday cards to every single year. "That's very thoughtful." I managed, my voice flat. "Wonderful. Get plenty of rest, dear. You'll need your strength." The line went dead. Daniel took the phone back, completely oblivious. "See? She's got everything covered." I stared at the ceiling, my hand resting on my belly. Why would she invite Vanessa to my baby shower? "She probably just thought it would be nice," he said, already scrolling through his phone. "Nice. Right. 1 week before the shower, we had dinner at Linda's house. I wore my favorite maternity dress, navy blue with soft fabric, the only thing in my closet that still fit comfortably and made me feel like myself. I'd bought it with my own money, picked it out myself, and when I looked in the mirror I actually felt pretty. The dining room was packed. Daniel, his sister Morgan, Aunt Helen, several cousins. Everyone passing dishes, making small talk, the usual family dinner chaos. Linda sat at the head of the table like a queen on her throne. "Rebecca," she said suddenly, her voice cutting through the conversation loud enough for everyone to hear. "That dress is interesting." I looked down. "Thank you. Navy is such a tricky color, though." She tilted her head, examining me like I was a piece of furniture she was considering buying. "Dark colors can make a woman look so much heavier, especially when she's carrying." The entire table went silent. Forks stopped midair. Conversations died. "I'm comfortable in it," I said quietly. "Of course you are, dear." She smiled that smile. "Comfort is important. I just think if your mother were here, she might have mentioned something about it." The silence stretched on forever. Aunt Helen's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Morgan stared at her plate like it held the answers to the universe. Daniel cleared his throat uncomfortably. Mom, come on, he started, but he didn't finish. He never finished. I kept my smile plastered on my face. I appreciate the advice, Linda, but I'm comfortable with who I am. She blinked once, then laughed. Light. Dismissive. Erasing me. Of course, dear. After dinner, I was washing my hands in the bathroom when Morgan slipped in behind me and quietly closed the door. Hey, she said softly. I'm sorry about her. I know she's been difficult. I met her eyes in the mirror. It's fine. It's not fine. Morgan bit her lip, looking genuinely distressed. Listen, there's something I need to tell you, but I can't talk about it here. My chest tightened. What do you mean? Can we meet tomorrow? Just the two of us. The urgency in her voice made my heart race. Okay. Tomorrow. She nodded once and slipped out. What did Daniel's sister know that I didn't? The next morning we met at a coffee shop downtown. Morgan was already there when I arrived, stirring a latte she clearly hadn't touched. She looked nervous, which made two of us. Thanks for coming, she said as I lowered myself into the chair. You're scaring me a little. What's going on? Morgan took a deep breath. I work at Citibank, you know that. I handle transactions for the branch. I nodded, waiting. Last week, I was processing routine account reviews. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I came across a withdrawal from your joint savings account. Yours and Daniel's. Okay. $11,000, Rebecca. The number hit me like ice water. That's not right. Daniel didn't mention any withdrawal. Because he didn't make it. Morgan's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. The authorization came through a linked account. Someone with secondary access. My mind went blank. Who has secondary access to our savings? She looked at me and I knew. Daniel added her years ago, Morgan said quietly. Before you two were married. For emergencies, he said. Linda took $11,000 from our account. She didn't technically take it. She transferred it through the linked access. Morgan slid a folded piece of paper across the table. Here's the statement. The date matches perfectly with that new antique furniture collection she's been bragging about all month. I stared at the numbers. Black and white. Undeniable proof. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Morgan met my eyes directly. Because it's wrong. And because you deserve to know. I folded the paper carefully and slipped it into my purse. Does Daniel know? I don't think so. $11,000. Gone. Without a word to either of us. What are you going to do? Morgan asked. I didn't answer because I honestly didn't know yet. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I wasn't going to pretend this was okay. What would you do if you discovered your mother-in-law had stolen thousands of dollars from your account? Would you confront her immediately? Or would you wait for the perfect moment? Drop a comment and let me know because what happened next changed everything. That night, I waited until Daniel got home from work. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Can we talk? I asked. He dropped his bag by the door. Sure. Everything okay? Did you know your mom has access to our savings account? He paused, and I saw the recognition flicker across his face. Yeah. I added her years ago before we got together. Emergency access. Why? Check the balance. He pulled out his phone, opened the banking app, and I watched his entire face change as the reality hit him. What the hell? There's $11,000 missing. I know. How do you know? Morgan told me. She saw the transaction at work. Daniel stared at the screen for a long moment, then immediately called his mother. I listened to his side of the conversation, the confusion, the questions, and then the shift. She says she borrowed it, he said after hanging up, his voice strained. For my birthday gift. She was going to pay it back. Borrowed. I let the word hang in the air. $11,000 and she forgot to mention it? Ensley, Rebecca, I mean. He rubbed his face with both hands. She said she'll pay it back. Let's not make this into a huge deal. You know how she gets. There it was. The phrase I'd heard 100 times in our marriage. You know how she gets. Translation, don't upset her. Don't challenge her. Keep the peace. Swallow it down. Daniel, she took money from our account without permission. That's not a misunderstanding. She's my mother. And I'm your wife. He sighed, staring at the floor. Please, he said quietly. Just don't bring this up at the baby shower. I don't want drama. I stood there, 7 months pregnant, holding proof his mother had stolen from us, and he was asking me to stay silent. I guess we'll see, I said. I didn't promise anything. I couldn't, because I was done making promises I couldn't keep. The day before the shower, Linda called me directly. That almost never happened. Rebecca, darling. Her voice was honey poured over steel. I wanted to confirm a few details. Of course. The photographer needs to know colors for the shots. I've coordinated everything in yellow and cream, so I'll need you to wear something that matches. I looked at the soft pink dress hanging in my closet, the one I'd already chosen. I have a dress picked out. It's pink. Silence. Then oh, is that a problem? Well, she laughed lightly. Yellow would photograph so much better. I've already briefed the entire team. Then tell them I'll be in pink. Another pause. Much longer this time. Of course, dear. Whatever makes you comfortable. I'd heard that phrase before from her. It never meant what it said. Linda, is there something else? Actually, yes. Her tone shifted, warmer now, almost conspiratorial. I have a little surprise planned for you at the party. Something I've been working on for quite some time. My grip tightened on the phone. What kind of surprise? Now if I told you it wouldn't be a surprise, would it? She laughed. Don't worry. I think everyone will absolutely love it. It's very personal. Personal. The word settled in my stomach like a stone. I just want everything to be perfect, she continued. For the family. You understand, don't you? I understand perfectly. Wonderful. See you tomorrow, dear. Get plenty of rest. She hung up. I stood in my bedroom, one hand on my belly, the other still gripping the phone. A surprise. Something personal. Something she'd been planning for quite some time. Every single instinct I had was screaming. But I had no proof of anything. Not yet. The morning of the shower, my best friend Claire arrived early. She found me in the bedroom, half-dressed, staring at the bank statement laid out on my dresser. You look like you're preparing for war, she said. Maybe I am. Claire sat on the edge of my bed. We'd been friends since college. She was a nurse, practical and unshakable, the kind of person who stayed calm during emergencies. Tell me everything. So I did. The $11,000. Morgan's warning. Daniel asking me to keep quiet. Linda's mysterious surprise. Claire listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, And you're still going to this party? I have to. If I skip, I'm the bad guy. She wins either way. So what's the plan? I looked at the pink dress, at the bank statement, at my reflection in the mirror. No plan, I said. I'm just going to show up, smile and get through it. Claire raised an eyebrow. That doesn't sound like you at all. What do you mean? You're an analyst, Rebecca. You don't walk into situations without data. I almost smiled. She knew me too well. I opened my purse and pulled out the folded bank statement, showed it to her. I have the data, I said. I just don't know if I'll use it. Claire looked at the paper, then at me. Whatever happens today, she said firmly, I've got your back. And my phone is fully charged. For what? Documentation, she shrugged. You never know when you'll need it. I hugged her tight. For just a moment I felt less alone. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. She pulled back, grinning. Let's go watch your mother-in-law's surprise. I have a feeling it's going to be absolutely memorable. She had no idea how right she was. Linda's house looked like something out of a magazine spread. Yellow and white balloons clustered in perfect archways. Streamers caught the afternoon light just right. A banner stretched over the fireplace reading Welcome Baby Hayes, in gold cursive letters. 50 guests milled about with champagne flutes and fancy finger foods. Cousins, aunts, family, friends. Some I knew, most I didn't. It was beautiful, stunning even, and not a single detail had been run by me. Daniel squeezed my hand as we walked in. See? Mom really outdid herself. I nodded, smiled, said absolutely nothing. The first person I noticed was Vanessa. She stood near the gift table, blonde hair perfect, wearing a yellow dress that matched the decorations exactly. When she saw me, she smiled. Slow and knowing. Had Linda coordinated their outfits? Rebecca, there you are. Linda swept toward us, arms outstretched. She wore cream silk with pearls at her throat. The picture-perfect hostess. She pulled me into a hug. Close. Tight. Our beautiful mama-to-be, she announced to the entire room. Everyone applauded politely, but as she held me, she whispered in my ear, "Glad you didn't wear yellow. Makes things so much easier." Before I could ask what she meant, she released me and turned to greet another guest. Makes things easier. I found Claire across the room. She raised her eyebrows in a silent question. I shook my head slightly. The next hour was a blur of forced small talk and plastic smiles. Every few minutes I caught Linda watching me. Pleased. Anticipatory. Like a cat watching a mouse. Then, at exactly 3 o'clock, she clinked a fork against her champagne glass. The room fell completely silent. "Everyone, please gather around," Linda announced, beaming with pride. "Before we continue, I have a very special presentation for Rebecca. Something I've been working on for months." My heart began to pound against my ribs. This was it. The surprise. And I had a terrible sinking feeling I knew exactly what was coming. I was about to find out just how far a mother-in-law would go to destroy her son's marriage in front of 50 people. And trust me, you won't believe what happened next. Before Linda could continue, the front door suddenly opened. Morgan hurried in, cheeks flushed, slightly out of breath. She scanned the room frantically until her eyes found mine. Something was very wrong. I could see it written all over her face. "Sorry I'm late," she announced to no one in particular, already making her way toward me through the crowd. Linda frowned deeply. "Morgan, we're about to start the presentation. Just 1 minute, Mom." Morgan reached me, took my elbow gently, and guided me toward the window, away from all the guests. "What's going on?" I whispered urgently. "I heard Mom on the phone last night." Morgan's voice was barely audible. She was talking to Aunt Ruth about some kind of list. I don't know what it is exactly, but she sounded excited in a really bad way. My mouth went completely dry. "What kind of list?" "I don't know, but whatever she's planning, please be careful." I glanced back at Linda. She was watching us, smile fixed perfectly in place, but her eyes were sharp as knives. "Morgan, listen to me." "No, you listen." Morgan gripped my arm. "If anything happens, remember what you have. The bank statement. That's not nothing. You think she'd actually—" "I don't know what she'll do." Morgan's jaw tightened. "But I know my mother. She thinks she's completely untouchable. She thinks no one will ever challenge her in public. What if she wrote something down? Something incriminating?" Morgan's eyes widened slightly. "Then she just handed you the weapon." "Morgan." "Rebecca." Linda's voice cut through the air like a blade. "We're waiting, ladies." Morgan squeezed my hand once. "I'll be right here." She stepped away. I walked back to the center of the room where 50 pairs of eyes watched me curiously. Linda smiled wide, and I suddenly realized something terrifying. Whatever was in that envelope, Linda had absolutely no idea what she'd actually written. Time to find out. As I moved through the crowd, a hand gently caught my wrist. Aunt Helen. She was seated on the sofa near the window, champagne glass untouched beside her. Daniel's aunt had always been quiet at family gatherings, observing everything, never speaking much. "Sit with me a moment, sweetie," she said softly. I sat. "How are you holding up?" "I'm fine. Just tired." She studied my face carefully. "I've known Linda for over 30 years, since she married my brother. Most people don't know that." "I didn't know that," I admitted. "Most people don't." Helen glanced across the room where Linda was arranging something near the gift table. "She's never liked anyone who doesn't follow her rules exactly." "Did she treat you like this too?" Helen's smile was thin and painful. "Worse. But I didn't have proof back then. I felt the weight of the bank statement in my purse." "Do you?" she asked quietly. I didn't answer, just held her gaze. Helen nodded slowly, understanding passing between us. "Good. Keep it very close. Why are you telling me this?" She was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with something old and painful. "Years ago, Linda convinced my brother that I was stealing from the family. I wasn't. I would never. Her eyes glisten with unshed tears. But I couldn't prove it. And Richard died believing her lies about me. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be smart. She squeezed my hand firmly. If she tries anything today, don't let her win with silence. Silence is how she's won for 30 years. Everyone gather around. Linda's voice rang out across the room. Helen released my hand. Go. And remember what I said. I stood, walked toward the center of the room. 50 guests formed a perfect semicircle around me. Daniel stood near his mother, smiling, completely oblivious. And Linda held a white envelope. The room fell absolutely silent. This was it. Ha ha ha, okay, I need to pause here for just a second because if you're as invested in this story as I was living through it, drop a comment right now and tell me what would you do if your mother-in-law handed you an envelope like this? Would you open it in front of everyone? Would you walk away? I'm genuinely curious what you'd do. And if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button. It really truly helps. Now back to the party. Linda stood in the center of the room, white envelope held delicately in her hand. The afternoon light caught the pearls at her throat just perfectly. She looked every inch the gracious hostess. Warm, welcoming, benevolent. Rebecca, sweetheart. She extended her hand toward me. Come here. I walked toward her. Each step felt like wading through thick water. 50 guests watched, smiling, expectant, thinking this was all part of the celebration. I've put so much thought into this particular moment, Linda said loud enough for everyone to hear. As a mother, I only want the very best for my son. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Nods. Someone said. How sweet. Linda held out the envelope toward me. This is a list, she announced clearly, of 47 reasons my son should divorce you. For exactly 1 second, the room was completely silent. Then Daniel laughed. It started small, just a surprise chuckle. Then it spread like wildfire. Aunt Ruth laughed. Cousin Marcus laughed. A woman I didn't even recognize laughed so hard she had to dab at her eyes with a napkin. They all thought it was a joke. A gag gift. Mother-in-law humor at its finest. Linda laughed too, her eyes crinkling at the corners in delight. But I noticed something everyone else missed. Her gaze never, not once, left my face. This wasn't a joke. Not to her. She wanted to watch me break right there in front of everyone. Daniel nudged me playfully. Come on, babe. Open it. This is hilarious. I took the envelope. It was heavier than I expected, like it was full of stones. Go ahead, Linda said sweetly, encouragingly. Read it. It's all in good fun. Her smile sharpened like a knife. Unless you're afraid of what you'll find. Another ripple of laughter from the crowd. I looked at Daniel. He was still smiling, waiting for me to play along like a good sport. I looked at the envelope in my hands, and I thought about every dismissive comment, every backhanded compliment, every single time I'd stayed silent just to keep the peace. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was done. I opened the envelope. Inside were 4 pages. White paper. Neatly typed. Numbered 1 through 47. The room was still buzzing with amusement. Someone whispered, "This is absolutely priceless." Another said, "Linda's such a character." I began to read silently. Number 1. She doesn't know how to cook a proper roast. Number 4. She convinced my son to move 20 minutes away from me. Number 7. She works too much. A wife should be home. Number 15. She's too independent. A good wife relies on her husband. The complaints were petty. Small. The kind of grievances a bitter woman collects over years, polishing them like stones in her pocket. But I kept reading. Number 19. She didn't invite me to her doctor's appointment. Number 21. She won't let me decorate the nursery. And then I reached number 23. I read it once. Then again. My heart stopped completely. Well. Linda's voice broke through my shock. Anything interesting in there? I looked up slowly, met her eyes directly. Around me, 50 people waited expectantly. Claire stood in the corner, phone already in her hand. Morgan hovered near the door, her face pale. Aunt Helen watched from the sofa, hands folded calmly. Daniel was grinning like this was the funniest thing he'd ever seen. Come on, read some out loud. This is too good. Linda tilted her head graciously. Yes, dear. Please share with the class. I looked at the words one more time. Reason number 23. She doesn't even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Daniel's birthday gift. Proof she doesn't pay attention to their finances. She'd written it down. Linda had actually written down her own confession, and she had absolutely no idea what she'd done. I lifted my head. May I read this one out loud? Linda's smile widened, triumphant and proud. Of course, dear. Whichever one you like. I took a deep breath. And I began to speak. What I read next made the entire room go completely silent. And Linda's face? I'll never forget the look on her face for as long as I live. My voice was steady, calm. I didn't raise it. I didn't need to. Reason number 23. The room leaned in closer, eager for the punchline. She doesn't even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Daniel's birthday gift. Proof she doesn't pay attention to their finances. Complete silence. Absolute crushing silence. I continued in the same measured tone. For the record, I did know about the withdrawal. It was $11,000. I reached into my purse, pulled out the folded bank statement, held it up for everyone to see. I have the documentation right here. Linda's face went white. Not pale. White. Like someone had pulled a plug and drained every single drop of color from her skin. That's... She stammered, actually stammered. First time I'd ever heard Linda Whitmore at a loss for words. Daniel stepped forward. His smile completely gone. Wait. Mom, you took money from our account. I was going to pay it back. Linda's voice pitched high and desperate. It was for your birthday. You never asked me. I didn't need to ask. I'm your mother. Aunt Helen stood up slowly from the sofa. Her voice cut through the room like a blade. You accessed their account without permission. That's not borrowing, Linda. That's stealing. The whispers started. Low at first, then growing louder and louder. $11,000 without telling them? She wrote it down? Did Daniel know? I stood perfectly still, completely calm. I hadn't accused anyone. Hadn't raised my voice. Hadn't made a scene. I'd simply read her own words back to her. Linda spun around frantically, searching for allies for support. But everywhere she looked, she found only shocked stares. Disgust. Disbelief. Morgan stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. It's true. I work at the bank. I saw the transaction myself. Morgan. Linda's voice cracked like breaking glass. You're siding with her? I'm siding with the truth, Mom. The room absolutely erupted. Everything happened at once. Voices overlapped in chaos. Questions fired from every direction. How long has this been going on? Did Daniel know about this? Is this why she's been so hostile to Rebecca? Linda stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, her mouth opening and closing but no sound coming out. Aunt Helen wasn't finished. She walked closer, 30 years of pain burning in her eyes. This isn't the first time, is it, Linda? The room went quiet again, holding its collective breath. Helen's voice shook with emotion. You told my brother I was stealing from the family. I never stole a single thing. Her tears spilled over. But Richard believed you. He died believing your lies about me. Gasps scattered through the crowd like leaves. Cousin Marcus spoke up, Linda's own nephew. Wait, is that why Dad stopped talking to Aunt Helen all those years ago? She made it up. All of it. Helen's voice broke. And I spent decades being treated like a criminal by my own family. That was different. Linda's composure crumbled completely. That was different how? Helen cut her off sharply. You lied about me. Now you've stolen from your own son. And then you wrote it down like some kind of trophy. Movement near the gift table caught my eye. Vanessa stepped forward hesitantly. Mrs. Whitmore. Her voice was quiet but it carried. You told me you invited me because Rebecca wanted old friends here. That wasn't true, was it? Another wave of murmurs swept through the room. Linda had invited Daniel's ex-girlfriend to his wife's baby shower under completely false pretenses. I was trying to, Linda started. You were trying to hurt me, I said. Not angry. Just clear. Just honest. You've been trying to hurt me since the day we met. I held up the list, all 4 pages of it. These are your words, Linda. Not mine. All 47 of them. She had no response. Nothing. For the first time in 30 years, Linda Whitmore had absolutely nothing to say. Daniel stood between us. I watched him process everything. The list. The money. The lies. Years and years of conditioning cracking like ice under sudden weight. Linda reached for him desperately. Daniel, honey. You know I only did this because I love you so much. She's changing you. She's taking you away from me. Mom. His voice was rough, raw. I was trying to protect you. From what? He stepped back from her touch. From the woman carrying my child? She's not right for you. I've always known it. You took our money. The words came slow, like he was hearing them for the first time. You made a list to humiliate my wife at her own baby shower. In front of our entire family. And you invited my ex-girlfriend. Vanessa quietly slipped toward the door, clearly wanting to disappear. Linda's eyes darted around the room wildly. Everyone's overreacting. This is just a misunderstanding. $11,000 isn't a misunderstanding. Daniel's jaw tightened. A 47-item list isn't a joke. I stayed completely silent. This wasn't my fight to win anymore. It was his. He had to choose. The room held its breath, waiting. I think you should leave, Mom. Linda's face crumpled. You're choosing her over your own mother? Daniel looked at me, at my belly, at the life we were building together, then back at her. I'm choosing my family. The one I'm building with her. Linda grabbed her purse with shaking hands. She walked toward the door, and the crowd parted like water, no one meeting her eyes. At the threshold she turned back. Her eyes locked on mine with pure hatred. This isn't over, she said. I met her gaze without flinching. I think it is. The door slammed behind her with a sound that echoed through the entire house. For a moment, absolutely no one moved. Then unexpectedly, Aunt Helen lifted her champagne glass high. Well, she said with the smallest smile. That was 30 years overdue. But the story doesn't end there. What happened next changed everything about our family forever. And Linda? She wasn't done trying to get back into our lives. The door's echo faded slowly. 50 people stood in Linda's perfectly decorated living room, surrounded by yellow balloons and streamers, trying to process what had just happened. Then unexpectedly someone laughed. It was Aunt Ruth, a small shocked giggle that broke the terrible tension. I've waited 20 years to see that woman speechless, she said. A few others laughed too. Nervous, relieved laughter that swept through the room like a wave. Morgan crossed the room to me quickly. I'm so sorry about all of this. Are you okay? I took a breath, let it out slowly. I think I'm better than I've been in months. Claire appeared at my side, phone still in her hand. She leaned in close. I got it all on video. Just in case. I nodded gratefully. Not for revenge. Just for protection. There's a difference. Daniel came to me then. His face was pale, eyes red and watery. Rebecca. His voice broke completely. I'm so sorry. I should have seen this sooner. I should have protected you. I took his hand. You see it now. That's what matters. Around us, the baby shower slowly, awkwardly resumed. Someone cut the cake. Someone else started opening gifts. But the mood had shifted completely. Lighter somehow. Like a pressure valve had finally been released after years of building. Linda's cousin Ellen found me near the dessert table. Thank you, she said quietly, sincerely. Someone needed to stand up to her. We've all been too afraid for too long. Similar whispers reached me throughout the afternoon. Relatives I'd barely met, friends of the family, all with the same message. It was about time. You did the right thing. Thank God someone finally said something. I didn't expose her, I said to each one. She exposed herself. I just read what she wrote. By the time we left that evening, I realized something profound had changed. For the first time since I'd married Daniel, I didn't feel like an outsider in his family anymore. I felt like I belonged. Before the party ended completely, a small group gathered quietly in Linda's study. Daniel, me, Morgan, Aunt Helen. The door closed softly behind us. We need to talk about next steps, Helen said firmly. Daniel sat on the edge of Linda's desk. The desk where she probably typed that list. I'm removing her access from our accounts first thing tomorrow morning. Good, Morgan said. That should have been done years ago, honestly. And the 11,000? I asked carefully. Morgan pulled out her phone, checking something. Legally, you have options. The withdrawal was completely unauthorized. You could pursue it through the bank. I don't want to sue her. I shook my head. I just want boundaries. Real ones. Then make them crystal clear. Helen's voice was firm with experience. In writing. No more family favors. No more access to your finances, your home, or your decisions. Not until she earns it back properly. Daniel nodded slowly, processing. I'll send her an email. Lay it all out clearly. No contact until she apologizes and pays back the money, Morgan added. An actual apology, Helen emphasized. Not her usual, I'm sorry you feel that way nonsense. And the baby shower? I looked around the room. Do we just pretend this didn't happen? Helen laughed, warm and genuine. Honey, this is the most honest family gathering I've been to in 30 years. Daniel took my hand gently. I'm not cutting her off forever. She's still my mother. But until she takes real responsibility, she doesn't get access to our life. I squeezed his hand back. It wasn't a perfect solution. It wasn't even a complete one. But it was a start. Boundaries aren't about punishment. They're about protection. And for the first time in my marriage, I had both my husband and his family standing right beside me. That was worth more than any apology could ever be. Can I be honest with you for a second? When I was standing there reading that list out loud, my hands were shaking so badly. But I realized something important. Silence wasn't protecting me at all. It was only protecting her. Tell me in the comments. And if you've dealt with something similar, share your story. You're not alone. Subscribe for more stories about standing your ground and reclaiming your life. Now let me tell you what happened that night and in the weeks that followed. That night our apartment felt different. Quieter. Lighter. Like a terrible storm had finally passed and left everything clean and new. Daniel sat on the couch staring at his phone. I have 12 messages, he said. From who? Everyone. He scrolled through slowly. Uncle Marcus, Cousin Beth, Aunt Ruth. People who haven't texted me in years. What are they saying? He read a few out loud, his voice thick with emotion. Morgan. Mom's been calling everyone. No one's answering. Aunt Helen. Blocked her number. 30 years too late, but better late than never. Cousin Beth. I always knew something was off with her. Thank you for finally proving it. Uncle Marcus. Proud of you, son. That took real guts. Daniel set the phone down carefully. His eyes were distant, processing. How do you feel? I asked softly. He thought for a long moment. Guilty, he said finally. Relieved. Sad. All at once. That's okay. I sat beside him. You're allowed to feel all of it. I spent 31 years thinking her behavior was completely normal. He turned to look at me, really look at me. It took you standing up to show me it wasn't. I didn't say anything. Just rested my head on his shoulder. His phone buzzed again. He checked it, then showed me the screen. He'd blocked Linda's number. I'll unblock her when she's ready to be a grandmother, he said quietly, his voice breaking slightly. Not a controller. I thought about the baby growing inside me. About the family I wanted to build. The life I wanted to create. She can still fix this, I said honestly. All she has to do is apologize. Genuinely. Do you think she will? I remembered Linda's face as she left. The rage. The humiliation. The cold promise in her eyes. I don't know, I said honestly. But the door's not locked. Just closed. Whether she chose to open it was completely up to her. A week passed slowly. Then the email arrived. Daniel showed me on a Sunday morning. His face carefully neutral. It's from her. I set down my coffee cup. What does it say? He read it out loud, his voice flat. Dear Daniel, I've had time to reflect on what happened at the shower. I'm deeply hurt that you chose to publicly humiliate me in front of our entire family. Rebecca clearly orchestrated this whole thing to turn everyone against me. I was only trying to protect you as I always have. The money was a loan, nothing more. I expected my own son to understand that. I hope you'll reconsider your position and see that I've only ever wanted what's best for you. Love, Mom. He put the phone down. I waited, watching him process. She's not apologizing, he said finally, clearly. I know. She's explaining why she was right. I noticed. He rubbed his face tiredly. What do? I thought about it carefully. About Linda. About second chances. About boundaries that mean absolutely nothing if they bend at the very first test. That's your call, I said. But if you respond, be clear about what you need. He picked up his phone. Started typing. Deleted it. Started again. When he finished, he showed me. Mom, until you genuinely apologize to Rebecca and pay back the money, I won't respond. I love you, but I love my family more. You didn't have to mention my name, I said softly. Yes, I did. He looked at me directly. You're the reason I finally see clearly. He hit send. We didn't expect a response. And we didn't get one. But 1 week later, Morgan called, her voice urgent. $11,000, she said. Just appeared back in your account this morning. No note. No message. Nothing. The money was returned. The apology wasn't. Some things take much longer than others. 2 weeks after the money appeared, Morgan called again. Her voice sounded different this time. Heavier somehow. I need to tell you something about Mom. I braced myself. What happened? She's not doing well at all. She's completely alone. No one's talking to her. Helen blocked her. Ruth blocked her. Even her bridge club dropped her. I didn't tell anyone to block her, I said quickly. I know. They made their own choices. Morgan sighed heavily. But she's spiraling badly. She called me crying last night. Said everyone abandoned her for no reason. I listened to the silence on the line. How do you feel about that? I asked. Honestly? Conflicted. Morgan's voice cracked. She's my mother. She's also awful. Both things are true. I understood that more than she knew. She can fix this anytime, I said gently. All she has to do is apologize. Genuinely. I told her that. She keeps saying she did nothing wrong. Then she's not ready yet. I know. A long pause. I just wanted you to know what's happening. In case it matters. I looked out the window, thought about the woman who'd spent years making me feel small and worthless, who'd stolen from us, who'd tried to destroy my marriage in front of 50 people. I didn't feel happy that she was suffering, but I didn't feel guilty either. Thank you for telling me, I said. And Morgan? You're not responsible for her choices. Neither are you, she said softly. I know. 3 months later, I gave birth to our daughter. We named her Sophie. The delivery room was small but filled with light. Daniel held my hand through 18 hours of labor. Claire was there, off duty but refusing to leave. Morgan arrived with beautiful flowers. Aunt Helen brought a hand-knitted blanket she'd made herself. Linda wasn't there. She still hadn't apologized. I held Sophie for the very first time. This tiny, perfect person, and felt my entire world shift completely on its axis. Everything that had happened before suddenly felt smaller, less important. This was what mattered now. She's absolutely beautiful, Claire whispered. She looks just like you, Daniel said, tears streaming down his cheeks. I looked at my daughter's face, at her tiny perfect fingers, at the future stretching out ahead of her. She would not grow up in a family where silence was a weapon, where manipulation was called love, where standing up for yourself meant standing alone. I would make absolutely sure of it. Later that evening, Daniel sat beside my hospital bed, phone in his hand. I called Mom, he said quietly. Told her about Sophie. My heart clenched. What did she say? She cried. Asked if she could see her. And Daniel met my eyes directly. I said when she's ready to respect my wife, she can meet my daughter. I reached for his hand. That must have been hard. It was. He squeezed my fingers. But it was the right thing. Morgan appeared in the doorway hesitantly. Hey, she said softly. I just wanted you to know I talked to Mom this morning. We both looked at her. She mentioned therapy, Morgan said, almost smiling. Therapy. For the first time in her entire life. Maybe there's hope, Morgan said. I looked at Sophie sleeping peacefully in my arms. Maybe there was. But hope wasn't the same as trust. Trust would have to be earned. 6 months after Sophie was born, a letter arrived in our mailbox. Not an email. A handwritten letter on cream stationery with Linda's familiar slanted script. I almost threw it away without reading it. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table while Sophie napped, and I read every single word. It was 2 pages long. She wrote about her childhood, growing up with a mother who never showed affection, learning that love meant control and control meant safety. She wrote about losing her husband, Daniel's father, and how terrified she'd been of losing Daniel too. Then she wrote this. I convinced myself that if I could control everything around my son, I could keep him safe. But I was wrong. I wasn't protecting him. I was suffocating him. And I was cruel to you because you threatened the only kind of love I knew how to give. I'm sorry. Not sorry you feel that way. Not sorry if I hurt you. I'm sorry for what I did. For the list. For the money. For every single time I made you feel like you weren't enough. You are enough. You always were. I was just too broken to see it. I read the letter twice. Then a third time. Daniel came home to find me at the table, the pages spread before me. He read it in complete silence. When he finished, his eyes were wet. What do you want to do? He asked. I thought about it. About the pain. The humiliation. The scars that would probably never fully heal. But also about the possibility. We can meet, I said finally. Once. In a public place. With very clear rules. Daniel nodded. And if she breaks them? Then we're done, I said simply. One more thing, I added. She's not holding Sophie until she looks me in the eye and says it in person. Fair, Daniel said. More than fair. But I was willing to try. We met at a coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon. Neutral ground. Public space. Sophie and her stroller between us. Linda looked different somehow. Smaller. The sharp edges had softened. She wore less makeup, simpler clothes. 6 months of therapy and isolation will do that to a person. She sat across from me, Daniel beside me, a table between us and whatever came next. Thank you for meeting me, she said. Her voice was quieter than I remembered. Softer. I nodded. Waited. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry. Her eyes met mine directly, not looking away. For the list. For the money. For years of making you feel unwelcome in your own family. For using your mother's absence as a weapon against you. Her voice broke on the last words. I told myself I was protecting my son, but I was just afraid of losing him. And instead of dealing with that fear properly, I took it out on you. She wiped her eyes. You didn't deserve any of it. And I'm sorry. The coffee shop hummed around us. Normal people having normal conversations. No idea about the history sitting at our table. Thank you for saying that, I said quietly. Linda's hands trembled on the table. She glanced at the stroller hopefully. Can I see her? I looked at Daniel. He gave a small nod. I turned Sophie's stroller so Linda could see her granddaughter. 6 months old. Sleeping peacefully. Linda's face completely crumpled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She's so beautiful. Would you like to hold her? The words surprised even me as they came out. Linda looked at me, startled, hopeful, terrified all at once. Are you sure? I lifted Sophie gently from the stroller, placed her carefully in her grandmother's arms. Linda held her like something precious and fragile, which she was. I watched them together. The woman who had tried to destroy my marriage, now holding my daughter. I hadn't forgiven her completely. Maybe I never would. But I'd given her a chance. Because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. And she'd finally found the courage to knock. That's where my story ends for now. Thank you so much for staying with me through all of this. If this story made you feel something, made you feel seen, understood, or just a little less alone in your own struggle, please drop a comment and tell me your thoughts. And if you want more stories like this, stories about standing up for yourself and reclaiming your life, check the description below. Subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. And remember, your boundaries are not negotiable. Ever.